The field of archaeology is not something new. It has existed for hundreds, even thousands of years. In fact, during the time of Cleopatra, people were already studying the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Those enormous structures were already ancient, and just as perplexing to them as they are to us today. But some of the most incredible discoveries didn't happen millennia ago. They happened recently. And today, we're going to show you exactly that. From the mysterious stone wall of the Atlantic to the lost tomb of Thutmose II, these discoveries will change how you see the past. The royal tomb of the first Maya king, archaeologists Arlen and Diane Chase from the University of Houston have spent nearly 40 years working at Caracal, an ancient Maya city hidden beneath the jungles of Belize. We mean, 4 decades is a long time to search for answers. Most people would assume a site explored for that long has already revealed its greatest secrets. Well, apparently not. In 2025, the couple announced one of the most important discoveries ever made at Caracal, a royal tomb dating to roughly AD 330 to 350. The burial chamber was covered with cinnabar, a red mineral often tied to elite Maya burials. Inside, they found jade ear flares, shell ornaments, and the shattered remains of a mosaic death mask crafted from jade and shells. They also found the bones of an elderly man. Strangely, his skull was no longer resting where it had originally been. At some point over the centuries, it had rolled into a nearby pottery vessel. The Chases believe the tomb may belong to Chak, a ruler remembered as the founder of a dynasty that controlled Caracal for nearly 500 years. If they are correct, they may have found the man who stood at the very beginning of one of the Maya world's most powerful royal lines. The discovery also produced green obsidian blades and evidence of a cremation burial, clues that suggest Caracal may have shared connections with the distant city of Teotihuacan, hundreds of miles away. The Karahantepe Neolithic amphitheater, imagine trying to explain a stadium to someone who lived 11,000 years ago. Most people would probably assume such a thing couldn't exist. But that assumption is exactly why Karahantepe has archaeologists so excited. Back in 2025, researchers working at the Neolithic site in southeastern Turkey found a massive circular structure unlike anything expected from such a distant period. The building features rows of tiered stone seating surrounding a central area, giving it an appearance that many have compared to a modern amphitheater. The surprising part isn't what it looks like. It's when it was built. At roughly 11,000 years old, the structure predates widespread agriculture. According to traditional thinking, large communal buildings were supposed to come later, after farming societies became established. Karahantepe tells a different story. The site also contains carved human figures, animal imagery, and mysterious stone heads. It's still a puzzle what truly happened there. Perhaps stories were shared in the gathering space. Perhaps rituals unfolded before large crowds. Whatever the purpose, the size of the structure suggests it could have accommodated hundreds of people at once. Together with nearby Göbekli Tepe, Karahantepe is forcing archaeologists to rethink old assumptions. The legendary sanctuary of Odysseus was called the wiliest of men by ancient writers. The king of Ithaca earned a name for his sharp mind, clever schemes, and extraordinary ability to survive situations that should have ended in disaster. For more than 2,000 years, however, scholars have argued over a simple question. Was Odysseus just a character from legend? Or did memories of a real person survive through Greek mythology? A discovery made in 2025 has added a fascinating new chapter to that debate. On the Greek island of Ithaca, archaeologists identified what they think was a sanctuary dedicated to the legendary hero. The site is located within an archaeological complex known as the School of Homer, a place that has long attracted attention from historians searching for connections to the world described in the Odyssey. The strongest evidence came from a collection of votive offerings left behind by ancient visitors. Among them were small bronze figurines, ceramic vessels, and a unique tile fragment bearing a Greek inscription that specifically mentions the name, Odysseus, for archaeologists. That single discovery transformed speculation into something much more tangible. The sanctuary itself features stone terraces and a central altar where animal sacrifices were once performed. Perched high above the sea, it overlooks the waters that defined Odysseus's legendary journeys. Whether he was a real king, a local deity, or something in between, people here once believed he was worthy of worship. The ancients saw technology of Japan well. Japan is not the first place that comes to mind when people think about ancient metal technology. But a small discovery announced this year is giving archaeologists a unique new glimpse into how advanced ironworking may have been nearly 2,000 years ago. The artifact was uncovered at the Hayashi Fukushima archaeological site in central Honshu, Japan. At first sight, it doesn't look particularly impressive. The object is made of iron, measures less than 2 inches long, and has a bent, beak-like shape with a pointed tip. But a closer look revealed something unexpected. Along one edge are tiny triangular teeth, leading researchers to identify it as an early saw. Archaeologists believe the tool dates to the late 2nd century AD, during the Yayoi period, an era known for major technological and cultural changes across Japan. While small in size, the discovery could carry significant implications. According to Tomokatsu Uozu of the Fukui Prefectural Archaeological Research Center, the artifact may provide important evidence for the development of ironworking culture along the Sea of Japan coast. What's even more puzzling is that similar saws dating to the 2nd and 3rd centuries have previously been discovered in China. Whether the technology was imported, adapted, or independently developed is still uncertain. But despite that, this tiny iron tool is offering a surprisingly large clue about the movement of ideas and technology across ancient East Asia. The ancient monument near Stonehenge, there's no doubt that Stonehenge gets most of the attention. For centuries, the famous stone circle has fascinated historians, archaeologists, and just about everyone who has ever seen a photo of it. But this year, a discovery made only a few miles away suggested that Stonehenge may have been part of a much larger sacred landscape than anyone realized. Near the village of Bulford in southwestern England, archaeologists found traces of a monument that dates back roughly 5,000 years. That places it around the same era when the earliest phase of Stonehenge was beginning to take shape. The discovery came when Phil Harding of Wessex Archaeology was surveying land ahead of a construction project. At first, the evidence seemed murky. 2 large post holes positioned about 390 feet apart, surrounded by smaller pits containing ancient debris. The mystery deepened when Harding connected the 2 post holes on a site map. The line pointed directly toward the summer and winter solstices. Based on the depth of the post holes, researchers believe the wooden posts once stood between 10 and 13 feet tall. Nearby, they also found a disc-shaped flint knife, possibly representing the sun itself. According to archaeologist Matt Levers, the people who gathered here likely attached enormous religious importance to the movement of the sun. Even more fascinating, they may have watched the first stages of Stonehenge being built just 3 miles away, or perhaps helped build it themselves. The long-lost tomb of King Thutmose II for centuries. The tomb of Thutmose II seemed to exist only as a question mark. Now, historians knew he had ruled Egypt during the 18th dynasty. They knew he was connected to one of the most famous figures in Egyptian history, Queen Hatshepsut. What they didn't know was where he had been buried. but that mystery may finally be coming to an end. In Egypt's Valley of the Kings, archaeologists announced the discovery of a tomb believed to belong to Thutmose II. The announcement quickly drew attention around the world, with many describing it as one of the most important royal discoveries since Tutankhamun's tomb was found more than a century ago. While ancient robbers had entered the burial long ago, they didn't take everything. Here, researchers found storage jars, ritual objects, funerary furniture, and ornate chairs bearing the king's cartouche. Each surviving item offers another glimpse into life and death during Egypt's New Kingdom. The tomb itself may be just as important as the objects inside it. Its design differs from later royal burials, hinting at a period when Egyptian funerary traditions were still evolving. Even more fascinating are the clues tied to the transition of power surrounding Hatshepsut's reign. In short, piece by piece, this discovery is helping historians better understand one of the most important chapters in ancient Egyptian history that was once thought lost to time. The untouched funerary complex of Aswan, called Sun by the ancient Egyptians, is one of the most vital cities in southern Egypt, a place that has watched kingdoms rise and fall along the Nile for thousands of years. But even in a landscape crowded with ancient monuments, some secrets manage to stay hidden far longer than anyone expects. That became clear this year when archaeologists working at the Kubbat el-Hawa necropolis found a funerary complex that had remained largely untouched for nearly 4,000 years. Carved into the rocky cliffs overlooking the Nile, the complex traces its origins to the Old Kingdom, the same era that witnessed the construction of Egypt's Great Pyramids between roughly 2686 and 2181 BCE. And what the team found inside was beyond belief. 2 funerary chambers contained around 160 ceramic vessels, many still intact despite the passage of millennia. Some of the pots carried inscriptions written in hieratic script, a cursive form of hieroglyphic writing. Preliminary analysis suggests the vessels once held grains and liquids placed beside the dead, provisions intended to sustain them in the afterlife. The surprises did not end there. Nearby, archaeologists uncovered copper alloy mirrors, alabaster cosmetic containers, colorful beaded necklaces, protective amulets, and figurines linked to Egyptian deities. Evidence also revealed that the complex was reused during the First Intermediate Period and later the Middle Kingdom, around 2055 to 1650 BCE. According to Hisham el-Lithi of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, the discovery highlights the enduring ritual importance of Kubbat el-Hawa, a sacred burial ground that remained significant for centuries. The ancient stone wall of Brittany when it comes to ancient monuments, most people imagine pyramids, temples, or giant stone circles standing proudly above the ground. The last place you would expect to find one is beneath the Atlantic Ocean. But that is exactly where marine archaeologists made a surprising discovery near Le Dessein in Brittany, France. Resting beneath the waves was a massive stone wall, estimated to be around 7,000 years old. Long before rising sea levels altered the coastline, this area would have been dry land occupied by thriving human communities. The structure itself reveals an impressive level of planning. Large stones were carefully arranged to create a barrier strong enough to survive thousands of years, despite dramatic changes to the landscape. Researchers are still debating why it was built. Some believe it may have served as a defensive structure, while others think it functioned as a large tidal trap used to catch fish. Either way, constructing something on this scale would have required organization, labor, and cooperation from an entire community. Archaeologists used high-resolution sonar and underwater drones to map the submerged site in more detail. More than anything, the wall serves as a reminder that parts of human history are not buried beneath the earth at all. They are resting beneath the sea. The sunken port of Queen Cleopatra well, archaeologist Kathleen Martinez and Titanic explorer Bob Ballard were not searching for a lost port in 2025. Their attention was focused on something far more famous, the final resting place of Queen Cleopatra VII of Egypt. For more than 2 decades, Martinez had been chasing a mystery that had fascinated historians for nearly 2,000 years. While most scholars believe Cleopatra was buried somewhere in Alexandria, Martinez became convinced that the answer might lie near the ancient temple of Taposiris Magna. That search eventually led her team to the waters of the Mediterranean. Working near the ruins of Taposiris Magna, Martinez and Ballard came across a submerged landscape dating back to Cleopatra's era. Beneath the sea, divers mapped polished stone floors, towering columns, and ancient anchors resting silently on the seabed. What appeared at first to be scattered ruins soon revealed itself as part of a forgotten port that once connected the temple to the Mediterranean world. The discovery changed how archaeologists view the site. Rather than serving only as a religious center, Taposiris Magna now appears to have been an important maritime hub as well. That detail may prove crucial. If Cleopatra deliberately chose the location for her tomb, as Martinez believes, the surrounding harbor could be part of a much larger story still waiting to be uncovered. For now, the Queen's tomb remains completely hidden, but the search may have taken a significant step forward. The Dionysian banquet hall in Pompeii dinner party in ancient Pompeii was never just about food. Wealth, influence, taste, and even religious beliefs could all be displayed within a single room. That is what makes a discovery announced in Pompeii so fascinating. While excavating a newly explored section of the city, archaeologists uncovered a lavish banquet hall hidden beneath layers of volcanic debris left behind when Mount Vesuvius erupted in AD 79. Nearly 2,000 years later, the room still feels surprisingly alive. Its walls remain covered with colorful frescoes, so well preserved that many of the scenes appear almost untouched by time. The artwork centers on Dionysus, the Roman god associated with wine, celebration, theater, and excess. Across the walls, satyrs can be seen playing musical instruments, pouring wine, and taking part in ritual activities connected to the god. The scenes offer a glimpse into the beliefs and values of the household that once occupied the residence. Whether the owners were devoted followers of a Dionysian cult or simply admired what the god represented remains uncertain. Elegant mosaics and a layout overlooking garden spaces suggest the hall was designed to impress guests. It served as far more than a dining room. It was a stage where status, culture, religion, and wealth were displayed for all to see. Even after 2 millennia, the room still tells that story. Well, that's all from us. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll catch you later.